Maine has become a hotspot for black market marijuana as authorities fear Chinese organized crime is growing a foothold in the state.
NBC's Jacob Soboroff has the story.
This is rush hour in Skowhegan, Maine.
Rush hour in Skowhegan, Maine.
Aaron Bolster has been a realtor here in rural Maine for over 20 years.
What's it like to live in this part of the country?
It's a good lifestyle. Clean air, low crime. Sheriff's office!
But that's changed. Since January alone, local and federal law enforcement say they've raided over 40 unlicensed marijuana grows across the state at homes suspected to have ties to Chinese organized crime, including at least several with sales brokered by Bolster.
This is one of them.
When you realized that the sheriff was starting to raid houses like this one that you sold, what kind of light bulb went off about other sales that you had made?
Wondering which one's going to be the next one.
Bolster was right. Maine is the latest hotspot among 23 states now home to grows run by Chinese criminal groups, according to the DEA, a phenomenon we've been reporting on across the country for 2 years, with consequences including human trafficking and money laundering. Next door to that home that Bolster sold, we met neighbors Janet and Richard Gordon. How often were people present at the home?
At the end of the month, they were loading a van and then it would take off for a few days.
Norwich Walk Town Manager Richard LaBelle was on the raid at this property and brought us to where authorities say they found nearly 400 pot plants.
Oh, wow. And it's a big structure that looks like it used to be used for what, automotive repairs?
Yes.
Can we go look?
Sure.
Inside, with electricity shut off, he showed us chemical containers, a pamphlet on hemp growing, multiple rooms built to process marijuana, and perhaps evidence of where those vans the neighbors saw might have been headed.
So this is Brooklyn, and we know from covering other Chinese organized crime grows across the country that people were coming from Brooklyn to go to the grows in places like Oklahoma.
Yeah, there's very little doubt that folks are coming from the city, and they were either going back to Brooklyn and or Boston.
According to property records, the house was registered to an owner in New York, a hub to both Chinese criminal groups and the migrant laborers they rely on, which we investigated last year. It's a connection that raises grave concerns for Maine Senator Susan Collins, who we met in Washington.
Why is this happening?
Chinese transnational criminal groups seem to be targeting rural areas. What we don't know is it a threat to our national security?
Sounds like you're saying this is bigger than marijuana.
I think it is bigger than marijuana. It may be an attempt to probe our defenses.
An attempt Senator Collins suspects that could be connected to Chinese leadership.
Is it fair to say you believe Xi Jinping is aware of this operation?
I do believe that.
And has he directed it in some way?
I don't know that, but it's impossible for me to believe that he is not aware.
This month, the FBI director stopped short of supporting Senator Collins' theory.
We don't yet see, but we're obviously investigating any direct ties between these grows and, say, the Chinese government itself.
In a statement, the Chinese embassy in Washington says the Chinese government has taken an active and responsible approach to work with countries, including the U.S., to solve the drug problem. Yet a recent congressional investigation found the Chinese Communist Party holds ownership interests in several Chinese companies tied to drug trafficking and money laundering. 4 former senior federal law enforcement officials confirmed to NBC News those schemes often involve proceeds from illicit marijuana. Back in Maine, there remain nearly 100 active grows possibly tied to Chinese criminal groups, according to the U.S. attorney.
As a town official, do you think they're working for themselves or for a larger enterprise?
Very little doubt in my mind that they're working for a larger enterprise.
That larger enterprise, with connections around the country and the globe, still coming into focus. Jacob Soboroff, NBC News, Norwich Walk, Maine.
Now, I spoke with Jacob Soboroff about his reporting on these illegal marijuana grow operations in the state. Check out that interview on our News Center Maine YouTube page.